what's up? It's the Roadshow, episode 95.
We made it.
Probably the last one of the year.
It seems like it's gonna be.
Yeah, I think we ran out of days and weeks, and the passage of time just ever marches forward. I have a dead letter here that I'd like to start the show with, and it might be the strangest one I've received yet.
Well,
and I know that's sort of that's a lot.
Yeah, that is, because if anyone has listened throughout the show's run, there's been some strange ones.
Which we know nobody has.
True. Well, then in that case, you'll have to just take my word for it. There's been some strange ones.
Yes. I had a fascination with spam for a while. I would read out actual broken nonsense words for a while. But this, I think, might be the strangest email I've received. I think because concerningly, it came into my personal email.
Okay.
Which I don't give out on this program at the very least, and I try not to, just toss it out, willy-nilly. And the fact that it came into my personal email and didn't get filtered into spam or, any kind of other filter I have set up.
Are we talking the main inbox?
We're talking the main inbox, the main feed.
Wow.
Unsorted. And so the subject is a quick second of your time, ?
Catchy.
And it's sure. And it's from a Vicky Rose. Vicky is all lowercase. The R in Rose is capitalized. And it begins, good evening, Bill. Gripping a sketchbook in hand and possessing a classroom brimming with dreams, I, Vicky, beckon the inquiring and the courageous to envision. What dreams do you conjure up when the world is quiet and your reflections are loud? And then there's another line here. Each email encourages a response by encouraging the recipient to reveal their tales, inclinations, and dreams, nurturing a sense of bonding and reciprocal discovery. What the fuck is this?
Wow. So it wants you to respond with a bit of creativity?
It seems like that's what it's prompting, but it's also sort of nonsense.
Yeah, it is. It sounds like it's been artificially generated.
Yeah. But I don't want to say targeted, but focused. There's some kind of point to it. I'm just not sure what it is.
And on this podcast, you do discuss, dreams and sort of the collective unconscious and creativity. Yeah. And so it's not too far-fetched. It's not outside of your realm here.
Right. Each email encourages a response. Which emails? It acts as if there has already been some kind of correspondence.
It's true.
When there has not been. Or this whatever this is, because I hesitate to say person. Is it just blasting this out to any email addresses they can get their hands on? And so each email encourages a response?
Right. Also, was it sent during the evening?
Let's see. 1:08 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Time.
That's about right.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is just very odd.
Will you respond is the question.
No, I don't think I will. Mostly because it's my personal email.
True.
And that weirds me out. What is also odd to me is the fact that this came in through a Gmail address, but it has been made up of random words. I could not find any meaning in them. I searched for the email address on its own and to try to get some kind of something, and I could not find anything.
So could not find any meaning in them.
No. No. So yeah, if anybody else has received something along these lines, I'd be very curious. And I'm also wondering how it didn't get filtered into the spam. How did they get it to think this was, I suppose, a real enough person to go right into the main inbox?
What was the bit about the classroom again?
Gripping a sketchbook in hand and possessing a classroom brimming with dreams, I, Vicky, beckon the inquiring and the courageous to envision.
Didn't you talk about that sort of premonition you had years and years ago? You talked about it on the podcast. You had like a dream involving a classroom situation that actually came true.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's what came to mind
I could
when Vicky mentioned that.
A classroom brimming with dreams.
Yes. I'm trying to figure out, because it does feel targeted. It does feel like there's an attempt at personalization. And so...
So you actually think that this is like meant for me personally, and this is not just a very weird spam email?
Can spam emails pull from podcast episodes and try to
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I don't think so.
Because I'm torn.
We can't get regular people to listen. We're not going to get bots to listen.
That's very true. I don't know. I definitely, this is not a real person. No offense to Vicky. I'm just trying to figure out what the aim is here.
To me, it almost feels like the hunting for schizophrenics. Like this is like almost like cult recruitment, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Like if your mind is broken enough to see the possibility in this and begin correspondence with this, you're gonna wind up in a cult. That's what the classroom brimming with dreams that Vicky possesses means to me. She's teaching people, she's sermoning to people. That sounds like a cult. Inquiring the courageous to envision.
Yeah, that right there is cult speak.
Cult recruitment. Yeah.
Well, you were not kidding.
So maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Yeah.
Maybe I will.
No, but you were not kidding. This is the strangest one.
Yeah. Very weird. So again, if anybody has gotten something similar, please let me know, because I don't know what the fuck this is. Yeah. And the proper email to send anything in is podcast@deadandroad.media, our new email address. So we have some stories here that I want to talk about in our book, the publishing industry discussion segment, Shelved, which I don't have a regular sound drop for, but I found something that I thought we should use. So let me just play that real quick.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all. There was time now. There was all the time I needed. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Perhaps too depressing, but...
Yeah, I don't know how far away you are from responding to that email, to be honest.
No, I'm good. Perhaps a little too depressing, but it was the most book-related sound clip that was in the front of my mind.
Excellent.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so the big story the last couple weeks, we have some lovely YA book drama. And you might have seen this because you're on some book talk. And so I'm sure book talk was all flame.
I'm actually not anymore. I've lost full control of my For You page.
Okay. Are you back on the Russians?
No, the Russians have gone.
Okay.
Just seeing weird guys in their basement having discussions with themselves and various other things. Still getting a lot of miles, which I will always gladly take.
Yeah.
But that's all to say that I've strayed from book talk, unfortunately.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah. So this story,
the basement lighting is always very ominous as well.
Of course. Yeah. I think it's hard to separate a basement from just always looking like a kill room.
It's true. It's true. You have to have some serious wealth in order to pull that off.
Right. You need the fully furnished sort of, and then it's well, this isn't even a basement at this point. This is just a living room that's below ground.
You hear some dripping water in the background of some of these.
Oh yeah.
At least I hope it's water.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So this story is basically a throwaway line or paragraph from Yellowface, which just goes to show how accurate that novel was. So this resulted in an author losing their book deal because they review bombed a bunch of their colleagues on Goodreads with sock puppet accounts, is the long and short of it. But diving into it, it's pretty wild. So the author, which I want to get the name right, Kate Corraine, she lost her deal with Del Rey Publishing, and also her agent. Her agent dropped her. She had a debut novel called A Crown of Starlight. It was supposed to come out next May, and it was referred to as, quote, a steamy sci-fi reimagining of the story of Greek gods Dionysus and Ariadne. So if you're into that thing, I'm sorry, you're not gonna get it.
And unfortunately, I just don't think you can find that anywhere else.
No, you really can't. Nobody really likes it when the Greek gods get steamy. There's none of that's available on the internet. So the author of the book called Iron Widow, and I want to get this name right too because I'm really bad at pronunciations. I'm gonna say Zirin J. Zhao. And if I get that wrong, I'm terribly sorry, said on Twitter that an unnamed author was leaving a bunch of 1-star reviews for debut writers on Goodreads. And it seemed to be about like 6 Goodreads accounts that were not only leaving these reviews, but liking this network of 1-star reviews as well to sort of boost up those reviews. And so the reviews included on Bethany Baptiste's The Poisons We Drink, Molly X. Chang's To Gaze Upon the Wicked, and a bunch more. And another factor of this was that a lot of these were debut authors of color, too, that were getting review bombed by these accounts. And this got tabulated in a public Google Doc that is Gizmodo, which I'm pulling some of this information from, the Gizmodo article from Justin Carter. The Gizmodo article says 31-page Google Doc. As of now, which is December 17th, the Google Doc is now 41 pages of evidence of review bombing and sort of tabulating which of these accounts were connected. And so not only were these accounts leaving 1-star reviews on all of these same writers, they were also leaving 5-star reviews on Corraine's novel, despite the fact that it had not released yet, which is another problem on its own. That's more of an issue with Goodreads as a platform, which has its own fucking issues, like the fact that you can review a book that is not out for another 6 months or so. Would have been out 6 months from now. So boosting this one book, boosting her other books, boosting the reviews of those books, and leaving bad reviews on all these other authors' books.
Yes.
And boosting those reviews.
So I was going to ask you how, she was found out, but it's very clear. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
It's real. No, exactly. It's really obvious because if you're just leaving a bunch of reviews on, authors, right? Like with these clearly fake accounts, somebody might just, this is just like a racist or whatever, or this is just a hater. Or the thing is that especially in YA circles, this kind of thing happens so frequently with literal authors using sock puppet accounts to do this kind of shit, to harass fellow authors. It happens so often. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason why, which comes up a little bit later, and not to blame this wholly on this culture, but because a lot of this comes from the online fan fiction space, where a lot of these writers now have started in fan fiction and are used to the anonymity that fan fiction offered them whenever they were just, posting fan fiction on AO3 or whatever, fanfiction.net, especially the older fan fiction writers that are now in their 40s, maybe even older at this point, that were used to that anonymity and used to that cliquish behavior and would just do this kind of shit over on the fan fiction sites. But now that they are either self-published or are getting actual publishing deals and agents and are in mainstream publishing, some of that mentality bleeds through. It's still social media. This shit happens constantly. And it happens most frequently in YA spaces because there's so much crossover in genre with like what is appealing in fan fiction and what is appealing in YA and romance and, you know, this genre fiction, right? So you see it a lot, and this kind of thing blows up. And like how many quotes from Yellowface like apply to this situation entirely?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so whenever somebody does this, they try not to make it completely obvious where they would only review their own books positively and then other people's books negatively to like make the trail that obvious, you know? And so the other thing is that some of these writers that were getting review bombed were fellow writers on Del Rey's upcoming publishing list.
Oh boy.
So this was her own publisher that she was review bombing.
So now the whole agent dropping her part of it really makes you know, if it hadn't already
the
made
agent dropping
sense.
her, the publisher dropping her. Yeah. So we get to how she attempted to cover her tracks. Because this evidence was collated, as we said, in this public Google Doc. Authors were talking about it on Twitter. It got to Book Talk. Book Talk was talking about it. And that's talk with an A-L, not an O. And so they brought it to the her editor at Del Rey. After that, according to the Google Doc, half of the Goodreads accounts that were doing this vanished. And then I keep losing her last name. Kate Corain tweeted out, nasty surprise of the day was learning that there were fake accounts messing with my Goodreads ratings accidentally. If you've actually read my book and want to rate and review it, that would be great. As reader interest pre-release tells my publisher that the book is worth investing in. Okay, so I guess there were arcs already out. So that would explain why it would be able to be reviewed already. Sometimes you can just list something and have it be available to rate, even if like it doesn't even like a manuscript for it doesn't even exist yet, which is really dumb. Amazon doesn't give a shit.
No, they truly.
It's a hellscape.
Could not care less about
like
that.
It really is. Yeah. So yeah, you know, it was the fact that they like scrubbed it entirely didn't say to me that there were arcs already out, but I suppose there were, or she's lying and there weren't arcs out. I don't know.
Well, she's also lying anyway in that statement.
Well, yeah, of course. That's what I mean. Yeah. So it's actually it's hard for me to know if there were arcs available and advanced reader copies. So yeah, it's hard to take anything of this seriously. And then there's another reply to this tweet. I guess this explains why my rating was fluctuating so much. If you like my book, please rate and review it. If you hated it, you're also entitled to share your opinion. But making fake accounts to manipulate my book's rating is something else entirely. I'm gonna go be sad now. Okay. And then there's a comment in the Google Doc that says, as if the fake reviews on their book were 1 stars instead of 5 stars. Like, yeah, of course they were all positive. Like, she has nothing to be sad about except being found out.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah.
God. So then, and this is the part that actually Gizmodo gets wrong, is that they then tried to pin this on a quote-unquote friend that apparently did this on their behalf unprompted. It wasn't me. It was my friend that made these profiles for me to try to help me. Gizmodo says that this was coordinated on, what is it? Slack. It was actually Discord. I can tell based on the interface.
Oh, excellent.
So that's just a one little.
Now, is the friend a real person?
Well, let's dive into that. So the Google Doc says they're going to claim a friend did it in their name with screenshots. So they posted the screenshots of this like supposed her confronting her friend over this, right? With screenshots of a conversation as proof that doesn't explain how, one, this has been going on since April. So that's about 8 months or so this has been happening. The conversation is timestamped the evening of December 5th, but half the accounts were already deleted in the morning after this behavior was brought to the editor's attention. So, yeah, so this is happening. This conversation is happening after the accounts were already beginning to get scrubbed because the jig was already up. 3, why didn't they reach out to the authors impacted, I'm sorry, I'm reading this incorrectly. Why didn't they reach out to the authors impacted immediately? Because if they were truly innocent, surely they'd clear that up right away. 4, why a Goodreads account confirmed to be theirs upvoted their book on the same 37 obscure lists the fake accounts did. And again, this is Goodreads lists where people can add books to their list at an attempt at curation. Like, I think they used to be called shelves, which made more sense because it's books, you know. But I guess they're called lists now.
They should take a cue from the title of this segment.
Exactly. Make it thematically appropriate. That's what I try to do. And so it's just a way of organizing and curating, and you can make them public. And, you know, you could try to be an influencer on Goodreads if you really fucking wanted to. And so, yeah, you could organize books that way. So it's saying these were just a bunch of obscure lists that her book happened to be on. And these were all reviewed on the exact same lists, like not even just her book itself. They were all boosted onto these same lists. Like it was clearly coordinated by one person. It couldn't have just been these random accounts. And so there's screenshots of the conversation here. And I think it's worth diving into this because it's quite ridiculous.
And before we get into those, I have to point out here that let's say she did successfully get away with all these fake accounts and the 1-star reviews and the 5-star reviews. Is it even possible for one single person to make any sort of significant impact on like sales or perception of a book like this on Goodreads? Like, I feel like it's so much work for so little gain.
Not at this scale, right? You have to think about Goodreads is becoming, at least in my eyes, the perception of it less and less important. Mm-hmm. Publishers still value it, but from a reader's perspective, I feel like it matters a lot less because it's not, Amazon tried to turn it into like a buying avenue rather than what it really started out as, which was, you know, a discovery platform, right? And it hasn't really translated over. So instead, what happens is when you're buying a book through Amazon, you look at the Amazon rating, and those are not correlated to the Goodreads ratings because on Goodreads, anybody, as we can see, can rate it. Amazon has the tiniest bit of a border up against its ratings where you have to have purchased it through Amazon in order to review it. And Amazon is the largest bookseller in the world for both physical and digital and audio. Like, you know, so for one person to do this with a handful of accounts for pre-release, yeah, it might look like you have a 5-star for a brief moment of time, but unless there's only a handful of reviews, that looks more suspicious than having several hundred reviews and having a more a lower rating to both a publisher and a reader. Like let's go to Goodreads right now and look at like a classic, right? Oh God, I fucking hate the internet now. We might talk about this later, but just how much of this shit is closed off Goodreads is not even public anymore.
Yes,
which is
it requires an account. So, yeah.
So I literally have to sign in just to be able to look at ratings now, which was not always the case. It's ridiculous. Okay. So like let's look at The Sun Also Rises. Okay.
Wow, you're pulling one of the few, like really few classics that I've actually read.
Okay, there you go. So, right. So this is a book with 434,000 ratings, and its rating is a 3.8 on Goodreads. Okay?
Yeah, which, by the way, meaningless to me.
Exactly. Means absolutely nothing. So if you have a 5-star on Goodreads, you either have a very limited number of reviews or something's off. Because it just doesn't make sense. Because people just go in and say, oh, this is not what I understood this book to be. Okay, like look at this. This is the top, I just scrolled down. This is, again, on the Sun Also Rises page. The very first review that's here is a 1-star review. I was sitting on the patio of a bar in Key West, Florida. It was August. It was hot. Holy fuck, this guy wrote an essay. What is this? Yeah, this is an essay to give a 1-star review. Like, they wrote a story. They literally wrote Hemingway fan fiction, I think, to give a 1-star review on The Sun Also Rises. Okay, here's a weird one. This is a 2-star review. What I learned from this book in no particular order. 1, Jews are stubborn. Jesus Christ.
Is that like a top review?
It's the second one down.
Oh, this is all very concerning.
So this is what I mean. So it doesn't really mean much.
No.
If you have a high Goodreads rating, to me, as a minuscule publisher, I won't even say just an indie publisher, a minuscule one. Unfortunately, Amazon is much more important, and Amazon just happens to also own Goodreads and has let it decay into what we just witnessed. So this was just futility that could be better spent trying to, like, just going on Instagram and trying to pump up pre-orders for your book. Yeah. Just a gigantic waste of time.
Absolutely.
Completely.
And it's cost her career.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So this Discord chat.
Yes, of course.
So Kate, the author, begins. So if yesterday's nonsense wasn't enough, today I got an email that said there were a number of ratings and reviews left on my book by illegitimate accounts, which I guess explains why my rating was fluctuating wildly up and down over the last week. Also, my car's in the shop and they don't know why this battery doesn't work, but they'll get back to me when we know anything, so I'm not really holding out hope. This week continues to spiral and I go with it. Lily replies, "What do you mean?" Which I think she kind of said, kind of laid it out. Kate says, about what part? A lot of things have happened. Lily says, the ratings. Kate says, I mean that people were making fake accounts to rate my books, or books in general, I guess. So someone was rating your book low? No, the email was fucking weird. Like, and then a bunch of question marks, and then they screenshotted some kind of email. I guess perhaps from their editor. I can't really see the screenshot of that is much smaller. It seems like the reviews are positive, but I didn't do anything, question mark. Rating books high is against the rules? No, but making fake accounts to rate them high it's artificially inflating a book's reviews. That's against the rules. Lily responds with a sort of like yikes emoji. I don't know how to describe that. It's the one where it's just like the teeth.
This is a fascinating attempt at a staged conversation. I love this.
For somebody that's a fiction writer.
Exactly.
By the way. And like all of these messages also are timestamped and they're all 1 or 2 minutes apart.
No, come on. Like there's so many little
You know how everybody talks to each other.
Yeah,
right? Exactly 1 to 2 minutes apart. like swapping accounts, or devices.
Just like for a fiction writer, you're missing all the little details of realism, that really go a long way.
Well, she lost her editor, so she couldn't.
It's true. Wow.
So there's this yikes emoji here. Lily says, "Oh, I didn't realize you can get in trouble." What? Please don't get mad. I made a couple accounts. I think that was me. What? Why? The other night when you were worrying that your book would get overshone by bigger books at your publisher, I wanted to help. So I made a couple accounts to rate your book high. I'm sorry, I really didn't think it would be a problem! Exclamation
Wait, the
point.
other night, hasn't this been going on for months? Sorry, just not to
No. It's important to again reiterate, like the Google Doc said, these accounts, some of them have existed since April. This is not a spur of the moment thing. All caps. What the fuck? Why? I don't need fake reviews to help me. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I really didn't think it would hurt. I was trying to be nice. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I don't need you to step in and try to be nice with this. Do you have any idea how patronizing that is? How humiliating? How much damage you could have done? I'm going to be sick. Literally going to vomit. Someone just posted this screenshot in my writing group. And then there's a tweet here. If you as a debut author are going to make a bunch of fake Goodreads account 1-star review bombing fellow debuts you're threatened by, can you at least not make it so obvious by upvoting your own book on a bajillion different, and then it cuts off. And then the reply to that tweet, I'm not going to leak the extensive receipts so I don't ruin this person's career before it even starts, but if they do anything further in a similar vein, action will be taken. And then Kate continues, please, for the love of God, tell me you weren't actually stupid enough to use the same accounts that you made to boost me to bomb other people. Well, Lily, I didn't think anyone would noise.
You know, it's amazing on a number of levels. Also, because like you're watching this person in real time, just like admit to all the shortcomings of the plan, you know?
Yeah, and this weird play that they've orchestrated.
Oh, goodness. While also admitting to all the shortcomings while still in a last-ditch effort trying to deflect it somewhere else. It's incredible.
Trying to pin it on another fake account.
It's amazing. Are we still at this point 1 to 2 minutes apart between messages? Okay.
Yes, literally 2 minutes.
The entire way through.
I'm pretty much, yeah. I'm literally going to be sick. I need to email my agent. This could literally cost me my fucking career. I don't even know what to say. This is such a violation of my trust and of out friendship. I'm so sorry, Kate. I'm really sorry. I didn't think it would hurt. And then there's a really long key smash, all caps. How could it not hurt? Who the fuck did you go after? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I really didn't mean to hurt you. I was trying to help. God, I can't even keep talking to you. What the fuck?
It's so sad
I'm so sorry.
to see the downfall of such a long and tried and true friendship. They've known
each other for minutes. They've known each other. I don't care. This was such a shitty thing to do. Is there anything else you want to tell me? Anyone else you targeted just for shits and giggles? Any other people you wanted to destroy in my name? There were a couple other books that I left some reviews on to try to make it look less obvious. Names. Who? She's turning into Batman. IDK, just some other people on the debut list that I saw getting a lot of buzz. I just wanted to help. This is psychopath behavior. I'm sorry. I was only trying to help. You keep saying that. I think we're done here. I really didn't mean it. Please forgive me. There have been very, very few times in my life that I have felt so absolutely betrayed by anyone. When I got that email, I was perplexed, but I guess in my dumb idiot head, I thought, well, I've heard enough about all sorts of fucking weird shit on Goodreads these days. Some stranger is doing some shit. This sucks. God, maybe I'm just as stupid as you that I didn't read closely enough, but even if I had, I never in a billion years would have thought that it was someone I considered a friend. I hope you never ever have someone fuck with everything you've worked to build because they think you're such a shallow, petty person that you need others to fail for you to succeed. You have hurt me. You have humiliated me so badly that I want to fucking kill myself. This was the absolute last thing I needed. How could you do this to me? I'm so sorry. I'm so SOS. So sorry. fuck off, rotten hell, don't ever speak to me again.
You know, sometimes it's those closest to you that can betray the hardest.
Yeah. What's that meme? Trust nobody, not even yourself.
There you go.
So this one, all right. 10 minutes later, after rotten hell, don't ever speak to me again. 10 minutes later, Lily comes back. Actually, no, I'm not sorry.
Oh, wow.
See, this is the dramatic turn here. This is where
Now I'm starting to see the background in creative writing.
I was just trying to help. Yeah, I messed up, but I was just trying to be a good friend. It's not that big of a deal. And if it is, maybe you should try being nicer. If your career is so fragile that something like this could break it, then maybe I should keep going. And then there's a screenshot of the create account on Goodreads. You're just insecure and pathetic, and your book is terrible. I was just trying to help because I felt bad for you. You're going to regret this. And then it's a screenshot of a Gmail account that says, "Hi, Kate." And then there's a smiley face emoji, LOL, your move. 15 minutes later, after no response to that, Lily says, "Well, question mark, question mark, question mark. I just remembered something important. A lot of my bad reviews were for POC authors. When the call out post eventually comes for you, they'll call you a racist too. You're welcome, bitch."
The level of self-awareness here, like, I mean, it's... I have to respect that part of it. Like, she knows exactly what she's done here, and
But to me, that just completely screams premeditated. She is the character in Yellowface.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
That is that person.
100%. I was going to say, Lily and Kate, they have very similar voices in terms of, you just reading these texts.
I think that might have been why they were such good friends.
Yeah, you could see why. And it is such a shame, again, because, your career is one thing. You can always bounce back, but to lose a trusted friend like this under such circumstances, because I felt like Lily's intentions were good.
As she said, she was just trying to help. And she said that a few times. Yeah. And so what I don't understand is with the last screenshot that Lily sends of the Google account, I can't tell if she's making a fake Kate account or she's...
That was my guess. That was my interpretation of that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cliffhanger.
That she's hacking it. It's a little bit. A little bit. Like she's either making a fake one or she's hacking it or what? Because I don't know.
Is this maybe this text exchange in its own strange way the best promotion for the book? Because I feel intrigued by this text exchange, and I kind of like the narrative elements, and it almost makes me want to go and read Crowned in Starlight or whatever the name of the book is. This could be the long game here.
You think it's a little bit of viral marketing?
Viral marketing. There's no press is bad press.
Yeah, that would have been maybe.
I mean, you have to go with the assumption that you're going to now self-publish the book.
Sure, because it was after this that, the timeline's a little iffy because originally Del Rey had, it was originally slated to release next May, as I said. For a brief period, Amazon had the listing for a Crown of Starlight, as it was called, for May 2027. What that said to me was that Del Rey was just pushing it until they could figure out what the fuck was going on. Mm-hmm. That was totally a placeholder date. You don't just suddenly push a book 3 years, a book that was going to come out in months.
No, you'd have to be George R. R. Martin for that to be the case.
Of course. Of course. He's got pages. Yeah. Then they came out and said that they will no longer publish the book. Then it was unclear what was happening with the rest of her contract. She had a 2-book contract with Del Rey. Then they said they would no longer publish any works on that contract.
I feel like this text exchange could be published as a novella.
You know, get A24 on it.
Right?
This is the kind of thing that they do.
It actually screams. What's the director who did? This is not. Yeah, Harmony Korine. I feel like Harmony Korine would be a good director for this production here.
Was it Spring Breakers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The level of drama, melodrama.
Yeah. And as the Google Doc says, in the version of the screenshots Kate sent it to the debut Slack group. Okay, so there was, all right, so I apologize, Gizmodo. There was a Slack component to this. So she sent the screenshots into Slack, which is where that
so it was a Discord conversation. And
yes, with Lily.
And then
the screenshots were posted in Slack for a debut writers group.
Got it.
Yeah. The part about a lot of my bad reviews were for POC authors was cropped out for the Slack group. So the Google Doc says, therefore, they were also aware that their actions were racist. It's like, yes, yes, they had the wherewithal. So after losing everything, there was an apology posted to Twitter.
By Lily or Kate?
By the writer using Kate's identity. That's as far as I can say. Who's to say? Dear friends, family, readers, fellow authors, and members of the publishing community. Hey, that last one's me. Since June 2022, I've been fighting a losing battle against depression, alcoholism, and substance abuse, the full scope of which I've hidden from everyone in my life out of shame and a misguided belief that with the right with the right medicine or enough therapy, I could beat it. In late November 2023, I started a new medication, and on December 2nd, 2023, I suffered a complete psychological breakdown. During this time, I created roughly 6 profiles on Goodreads, and along with 2 profiles I made during a similar but shorter breakdown in 2022, I boosted the rating of my book, bombed the ratings of several fellow debut authors, and left reviews that ranged from kind of mean to downright abusive. 2 of those authors, Molly X. Chang and Danielle Jensen, are fellow Del Rey authors. I'm sorry. I wasn't going to cut in, but I don't think you could say fellow anymore.
No.
Camila Cole and Bethany Baptiste just happened to be on the wrong Goodreads list at the wrong time. I felt no ill will towards any of them, but it was just my fear about how my book would be received running out of control. My memories of this are extremely fuzzy, so it's possible that there are a couple of other authors. If so, please know I take full ownership of what I did to you as well. I'm sorrier than you'll ever know. There's nothing I can say to erase what I did to you. When I was slapped on the wrist by Goodreads and vague tweeted by a handful of people, I don't know what the slapped on the wrist by Goodreads is. I don't know what that refers to. I don't know if one of the accounts or something got banned or something. I'm not sure. I panicked that my secret was about to get out. Rather than taking responsibility for my actions, I tried to cover my tracks. Still, in the middle of this breakdown, I made up the world's sloppiest chat with a non-existent friend who was supposedly to blame and sent fake apologies for the actions of said friend, which only made things worse. I betrayed the confidence of my agent, my pub team, my readers, and my friends, and betrayed my own deeply held values. I also dragged one of my dearest friends and fellow debut authors into the mud with me when she came to my defense. I'll leave her name out of this so as not to pull her in even deeper. However, if she wishes to come forward, I'll apologize to her publicly as well. Let me be extremely clear. While I might not have been sober or of sound mind during this time, I accept responsibility for the pain and suffering I caused, and my delay in posting this is due to spending the last few days offline while going through withdrawal as I sobered up enough to be brutally honest with you and myself. I know some of you won't forgive me, and I recognize that you're not required to. No one ever wants to be judged by their worst actions, but that's not always up to us. I'll be reaching out to everyone directly impacted, though that may take time since I'm checking into an intensive psychiatric care and rehab facility, which means I'll be mostly off social media as I need to give 100% to the program if I want it to stick. All I can do going forward is to try to live my life in a way that shows you these aren't empty words. Yours with so much love and the utmost heartbreak, Kate Korine. Oh boy.
It's a bit embarrassing.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how I feel about the substance abuse angle, because it part of it feels, by putting that front and center, like you're not taking accountability.
Right. You see this a lot with these kinds of apologies. People would put that they have mental health issues or substance issues, and then it's like the genre of apology has gone through like so many iterations based off of feedback to them, that like, so people would originally put that in there, and then people would say, like, as you said, that's not really an excuse for your actions. And so people would still include that. And like she's done here,
she led with it.
They would then say she led with it. But then they would also say somewhere, that doesn't excuse it, and I take full responsibility for my actions. Fine. But then why include it if it has nothing to do with your actions?
Well, I think it could. It definitely could have something to do. Like it's going to play a part on your behavior, and that's, you know, I'm not taking away from that aspect of it. But when the first words of your apology are about that, that's where it feels like you're trying to shield yourself from accountability.
It's to elicit any kind of remaining sympathy.
Absolutely.
Possible.
It's very calculated. It doesn't feel sincere to me.
Yeah, it's whether earned or not. Like, yes, that shit sucks. I hope she gets the help that she needs, right? You know? But like, you still did this shit. You still have been doing this shit for almost a year at least that we're aware of. Then you went and lied about it, like in a like you said, calculated way. So like, obviously it's not my place to accept any kind of apology. I wasn't impacted.
Well, I mean, you are part of the media, publishing industry.
That's true. I'm part of the publishing community.
So you could certainly make your remarks.
You're right. So it's like, yeah, like you fucked over other authors. Like this is the thing that drives me nuts here, is that not only was this such an like own goal, like to just dismantle your own career, it doesn't even make sense to do.
No.
You know, it like none of it makes sense. And maybe that's the part where like substance abuse comes in, where you would do something that just has no rationale behind it. Maybe that's where the mental health aspect comes in, to do something that is just so, because this is not something where, like we've talked about this in the past, like plagiarism, right? Where there's like a clear personal benefit, you know?
To me, it feels like the most frivolous form of white privilege that I have come across in quite a while, because it's just so careless and poorly thought out. And the feeling that, like, I mean, obviously she thought she could just do all this and just make this marginal change on her sales or perception and get away with it. And it just feels so, I don't know. It's very, I mean, it's obviously very dumb. I mean, we've established that.
Like we said earlier, like there's so marginal of a potential benefit on Goodreads with the handful of these reviews. And that's just the one aspect. Nobody really cared. Like, people would just think it was cringe if they found out that you had like a bunch of sock puppets and were giving yourself 5 stars. That part, right? People would just be like, that's kind of lame. And then they'd move on and forget about it. It's the other half. It's the malicious half of downvoting, of mass flagging fellow authors.
Yeah, the idea there is to clear that publishing window for yourself. It's to rule out your competition.
Is so bizarre, because that's not how books function.
No, not even close.
As a selling vehicle, that's not how they work. One does not replace the other. Maybe
frivolous wasn't the right. Maybe delusional is the right word here.
Right. It's just, and maybe this is a lack of experience, or just I don't know. Delusion. Like, because somebody doesn't like buy a book and then, well, they're not going to buy any more books. They can't buy another one. They can't buy yours. They bought somebody else's instead. That's it. They're done. You know, maybe in the moment, maybe they currently can only afford, you know, have only so much spending money at a time and can only buy one book But like, they're not done reading forever.
Well, no,
that's just not how it works.
Everybody reads one book that's released in a given week, and only one book that's released that week. So you need to make sure that everything that's coming out around your time is poorly received. That seems to be the intention. It's not logical.
It's not. I can see the anxiety there. I can see it, but it still doesn't make sense.
And it's so malicious.
Like we've it's of course malicious, but I'm even talking about just like the personal benefit here, right? Like if you're clearing out the competition, all their books suck. You have to get mine. Like not only can you not even do that just because of the sheer volume,
with six
of books,
you're armed with 6 Goodreads accounts,
right? Just the sheer volume of books that are released, you know, like. Just that on its own. And we've talked about before how pre-orders are like the biggest thing. First week sales are the biggest thing. But at the same time, especially for an established publisher, which Del Rey is, they're an established publisher. Backlist matters. Backlist matters. If the book is decent and you want that, you're advanced.
There you go.
I don't know if that helped or not. But like, if you want to earn out your advance, like being on the backlist matters. So books are both a sprint to that pre-order and first week, and they're a fucking marathon because the book continues to exist. It still exists. It can still be sold. It can still be bought. It exists in libraries. Libraries purchase it. Your readers can request it in libraries. As we'll discuss in a little bit, those contracts matter too. Foreign rights, film and TV rights. The book exists. So to just like attempt to sabotage 5 or so other books, like it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It's really nonsensical.
Yeah, it is.
And then, of course, just the fact that it's just a shitty thing to do to other people in your profession that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. And then just the cherry on top, just add in some racism. Just some good old racism.
Well, that's kind of ingrained to begin with, because you obviously feel like you're entitled to this advantage.
Right, exactly.
If you're going through the effort of doing all this. The perceived advantage, because there's no actual advantage.
Right. Yeah, there was a fucking, what's the weird comment that Lily has in here? I don't know. It was basically saying like how these were just like other debuts that like, you know, were just gonna be in the way, right? Like just completely disregarding.
You know what's actually quite funny is that's obviously not, that's like the opposite of what's true also, because if you are a reader of this genre or style of book, and if you read one of the publisher's other, authors, usually those publishers will put like a link in the back saying, "Oh, are you interested in finding your next book?" And then you follow that link and you go look at the other books that the publisher has come out with, and boom, you have crown full of star thorns or whatever. I don't know what this is, but the publisher, if it's doing its job correctly, will prop up its authors and potentially, if you're reading one, you can kind of see the avenue to finding the other. So it's not a competition; it's actually collaborative.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Like the publisher wants to sell all of their books.
Exactly. They
want to sell all of them. Like that's the crazy part to me.
And,
like,
and they're gonna release them in a way that is also beneficial. Like they're not gonna get in each other's way in terms of release schedule too. Like I'm sure that's the publisher's mindful of that as well. Like all these anxieties are something that maybe she just should have talked to the publisher about.
Right. Like that's the thing is like maybe you could twist yourself into the logic of going after other books that were releasing on the same day as you, but you're going after other authors on your publisher to make your publisher look bad.
It's another own goal. It's it's friendly fire.
It's just why would you want to make your publisher look like it publishes shitty books?
Exactly.
Why would you want to be adjacent to shitty books?
Exactly. Unless, like I said, my conspiracy theory here is that the long game was to get all the press from your publisher and then have people get really engaged with the Lily conversation, be like, I'd like to read more of your writing. And so now you're going to see this book self-published in a few months, and it's going to be a hit on Book Talk.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
No, like even if she goes the self-published route, there might be some buzz, like there might be just some articles about, oh, racist self-published author, or disgraced published author, whatever. However it's going to get titled in the headlines. She might get like a bump from that, just that initial press. If anybody was smart, they wouldn't cover it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not how
I'm kidding, because like obviously works. These publishers exist for a reason, and they have the resources to get, at least help you along the way here.
Yeah, but this is a real possibility, because it also happened in Yellowface, right? Like, we keep going back to that well, but like it was so spot on with that kind of shit. If she goes the self-publishing route in a few months, or maybe she waits a year, right? This is the kind of audience, like I said, that is in the fan fiction space, is in this kind of genre with this kind of cliquish mentality of like call out culture of
you're saying they're extremely online.
They're extremely,
and they're engaged in their community.
Online.
Yeah.
And they're aware of when something like this happens. They're aware of the drama.
And that's funny, because for a long time in Yellowface, the protagonist's book continued to remain a bestseller despite all of the negative press, because that specific style of book and scenario, the general population is consuming it. And those are not usually like the people on Twitter, or, what was once called Twitter. Are the ones who are dialed in enough to be aware of this, but that makes up such a small fragment of who's actually reading that character's book. In this case, it's the opposite. It's like this community is very dialed in, and they're going to know you, and they're going to know what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so here's the other thing. So even if you change your published name, right?
Wait,
change. No.
I'm thinking just to brainstorm here. Starts with an L.
Yeah. Like, even if you change the title, there is people are gonna know eventually. They're gonna know eventually, because there is a narcissism to writing and to doing something like this, obviously. So people are gonna find out if you rework the book, change the title, change whatever, change your your pseudonym, whatever. Like, people are going to find out. Especially, this is something I glossed over, and I think it's relevant to where this story could go if it continues, because that is an avenue. Before she revealed the doctored screenshots of her conversation with Lily, where she said, "Yep, this was a friend of mine that did this," and how embarrassed she was. She said that Lily was a Raylo shipper, and do you know what that means?
No clue.
Okay, so that means that they're a fan of the Kylo Ren and Rey Star Wars pairing in fan fiction.
Only in fanfic? Oh, are they? I don't know what their relation
general
is in the movies. I never finished the trilogy.
I have no idea. No, me either. I have no idea. And this was supposed to be some kind of of course, a Raylo shipper would do something like this. It was meant to be evidence,
right,
of some kind. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like what you're saying, right? Like, someone that engaged in fan fiction would maybe do something this extreme.
But it was like this specific was supposed to throw them off the scent or something. It's just very But
you had to choose the most popular IP in the world, Star Wars.
Well, because
wouldn't it have been more believable to go with something obscure?
So, how I said earlier, a lot of these authors have transitioned from writing fan fiction to mainstream fiction, self-published, traditional publishers, whatever. A lot of books have gone from being fan fiction to being reworked into books. right? So like the biggest example
Twilight.
is 50 Shades. Yeah, Twilight, 50 Shades. These were fan fictions. Twilight was MCR fan fiction, I think.
Oh, I did not
50
know
Shades
that
was,
part. I was okay. So there's actually there's a couple degrees of separation between 50 Shades and the original here. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Twilight was MCR fan fiction, I think, and then 50 Shades was Twilight fan fiction.
How does that work?
I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know.
The MCR
Yeah,
aspect.
I don't
of
know.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got no idea. And so there's a lot of there's another author who gets into all sorts of petty drama who had Harry Potter fan fiction, and that got spun into, it was like a very famous Draco Malfoy fan fiction that got spun into a whole series of fantasy novels. And so like this does happen. I think there's like a Jenny Nicholson video about a Kylo Ren and Rey fan fiction that got swapped into a book.
What if I were to write a piece of Kate and Lily fan fiction and like turned it into my own?
I think the discoverability might be pretty bad, but I don't see what's stopping you. Yeah. Those crazy kids.
Right?
Yeah.
I could see them, having this falling out, coming back together, resolving their issues. Maybe there's a little romance involved.
Yes. Sort of a Killing Eve kind of thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Except the big twist is that it's like actually Fight Club in the end.
All right, of course. Yeah. Fincher on the brain.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I didn't think it would take this long, but
that's the episode. No.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Got another publishing related story here. The Internet Archive is continuing their fight against the big four. Is it now? I guess it's four, right?
I'd put Del Rey in the mix.
Yeah, continuing their fight against the big publishers. So they filed their brief in Hachette versus Internet Archive. It's part of their appeal. I wrote about this, I guess, a couple years ago now, and it's unfortunately still relevant. You could check it out on the site. It's called something like "Publishers Are Wrong About the Internet Archive," and they continue to be wrong about the Internet Archive. So publishers are not only now fighting the Internet Archive, they're just taking it out on libraries in general. Which they've been doing, but they're just like ramping up the, stupidity, trying to kill libraries for, it's extortion basically. So the way it works is that, for libraries to have access to specifically digital copies of books, they have to pay have a digital license for it. And that's not the same as just buying a digital copy like we would from Amazon, Kobo, Google Play, whatever, Nook, Barnes & Noble, wherever. They have to pay a license for it. And the license is already an exorbitant price because the publishers say, well, it's going to be lent out this many times. And so those are sales that we're losing out on. And so we're going to charge you this much, right? They have steadily increased, well, not even steadily, they've just increased the prices of those licensing fees. And libraries are already underfunded as it is. And so they're just a lot of the times unable to afford digital copies of books. And the Internet Archive, especially during the early part of the pandemic, was becoming a great way to access digital books. And the publishers didn't like that because they were not abiding by their bullshit licensing fees. And they decided to sue them over it. And they won. And so the Internet Archive is appealing that decision. And the reason is that the Internet Archive was, again, not paying those licensing fees for access to those digital DRM written copies of books from publishers. What they were doing is they would purchase actual physical copies of books and then scan them and then make them available for archival purposes. This is something that libraries actually do. The Internet Archive, the publishers did not see the Internet Archive as a legitimate library. They just considered this piracy and copyright infringement. When this is something that libraries are allowed to do, they purchase the books legally, and that's sort of where the issue stems from.
Yeah, like you're not on physical books, you're not being charged a recurring fee just to have it on your shelf.
Right.
I guess the argument, well, I don't want to take the side of the publishers, but it's like, well, at least those physical books are not being scanned and distributed digitally.
So when libraries purchase books from, like, physical books from publishers, like, they also don't go like to Amazon and buy books to stock the shelves. They also, most of them don't take donated books either, which might seem odd. Like, people a lot of times think, like, oh, I have all these old books, can I just give them my library? It doesn't usually work that way. They go through a catalog. It's usually Ingram's catalog, because Ingram is the main distribution channel for most publishers, big and small. And so basically everything is in that catalog, including me. I'm in that catalog. Look me up.
You're part of the publishing industry.
Kind of like it's sort of like publishing phone book, right? And they order that through the Ingram catalog, and they still pay a library fee. They don't pay either retail or wholesale pricing. They pay a library fee, which is more expensive than if they would buy at retail or wholesale, because wholesale is a lot fucking cheaper. Wholesale is generally 50% cheaper. So yeah, no, libraries get price gouged for physical as an industry standard. They get price gouged for digital as an industry standard, and that price gouging is higher. And publishers act as the big publishers act as a cartel, because they can set the price, and they all collude together to set that price. So the Internet Archive said, well, fuck all of that noise, and either took donated books or purchased books, but either way, they owned them legally. These were not physically stolen books or pirated materials, pirated PDFs, pirated EPUBs, whatever else. They physically scanned them, which is a laborious process to scan every single page of a book, had them OCR'd, which is digital recognition, and turned them into ebooks. Now, this is mostly a copyright issue, because in publishing, a physical book and a digital book are considered two completely separate things. You might think it's the same fucking book. In publishing, it's considered a completely different product, a completely different copyright material, a completely different medium itself. Same goes for audio. It's a completely different thing.
So there could have been 3 completely distinct versions of Crown of Starlight out in the world. And yet,
there could have
what
been
a missed opportunity.
So whenever the Internet Archive turned a book from physical to digital, the publishers see that as an act of piracy violating their copyright, because they're now replacing a product that already exists with their own, despite the Internet Archive purchasing the books legally and acting as a library. And acting as a library to the extent where they would only lend out as many copies as they had physically and continue to do so. So if they only had 2 copies of The Sun Also Rises, they would only lend out 2 copies of The Sun Also Rises.
Which is fine, because there's a very, very well-written piece of fan fiction freely available on Goodreads. So if both of the copies are taken from your library, there's alternatives for you.
Exactly. So the fact that they're fighting this is very good. They should. I'm glad they're able to, because the large publishers control all of publishing, and they do a lot of stupid shit that I really don't like this. Like this. And they have a lot of money to be able to bully their way and sort of ignore antitrust law.
Yes.
Like when they colluded with Apple to price fix ebooks about, 13 years or so ago. They do a lot of shit like that. So yeah, I could read their statement here, but it basically just says they're going to continue to fight for digital libraries. So yeah, it's good that they're fighting. I don't see our current court system playing nicely or understanding the issue,
Mm-hmm.
but it's good that the fight continues. So, and like I said, if you'd like a little more understanding on the issue, I did write an explainer piece several years ago that is still relevant, up on the site denandroad.media. You could find it there. And that's our book stuff for this week.
Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. I say that sincerely. Yes. That's not being sarcastic.
Hey, how's it going? This is Editor Bill cutting in here again. So our recording ended up being much longer than we anticipated. So I did my thing where I split the episodes. And so I'm going to do my little ad-libbed outro right here. So thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. Just have a few other little housekeeping notes here. So if you need like a super last minute gift for the holidays, I figured out how to do gift cards up on the website. And they come digitally immediately, and it's really nice. It works out great. It's already come in handy for me a couple times already. So check out deadendroad.media for that. It works out great. And it's valid for any purchases over on the bookshop up on the site. So all our hardcovers, paperbacks, plushes, plush bundles, and any upcoming pre-orders in the new year as well. It works on anything I sell up on there. A reminder that our new podcast email, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, is podcast@denandroad.media, and the new URL for the site is, again, denandroad.media. The old links all still work, and all the old emails all still work, but I'm going to be transitioning everything, especially in the new year, and I'll have these reminders less and less frequently. So yeah, if you want to join us next week for the second half of this episode, where we discuss The Killer, talk a little bit about Oppenheimer, and Ian's got a movie that he brought up, Leave the World Behind as well. And I think that's about it. Yeah, so that'll actually be the last episode of the year. So that'll be next week. Managed to somehow squeeze in another episode, so that'll be out on the 27th. And I think that's it. I think that's everything. Yeah, appreciate it. Check out the YouTube, all that good stuff. Yeah, we'll see you in 2024. All right, bye.